I love talking about dyslexia and how dyslexic individuals function and like a lot of the norms of like, this is pretty common with dyslexic individuals. And one of the things that's very common for dyslexic individuals is a top-down style of learning or thinking where it's like, I want to see the big picture and then let's figure out the details. And now I'm going to use that to talk about something else that I also care a lot about that's very different, and that is counseling theory. So within counseling theory, and specifically within working with couples or in relationships, there are two like main approaches. And there's a lot of approaches, but two of the most popular or well-known ones are emotionally focused therapy and then the Gottman approach. And what's fascinating is that one of those in how it's often talked about is very top-down, and one of those in how it's often talked about is very bottom-up in terms of your style of learning. In fact, there are other ways in which it's the opposite is true. But for right now, we're just talking about the style of learning. So when you talk about EFT or when you hear about it, most of what you start to hear is, okay, EFT is an attachment-based approach to working with couples. And so in everything that we're doing, we're starting with understanding what is the big picture that's happening here. Like, what is the attachment need that's going unmet? And then how are the details of whatever's actually happening in the relationship playing into that? Versus when you hear about Gottman, you hear about the details first. It's like, okay, what are the conflicts that are happening? Where are the missed bids for connection? Like, where are the four horsemen showing up? Where are all of these other little details? And maybe as we're going to work through those, eventually we'll get to like, what is the dream or what is the picture? Like, what is the bigger picture thing that's being violated by this conflict or in this relationship? And it's interesting because I think both are good approaches. Like, both matter and they both present a lot of really valuable tools and resources, but I do think that depending on the way that you particularly work as a person or maybe you and your relationship function, like the way that you function will determine which one of those you align more effectively with. And it's easy for therapists to be like, well, the one that I use is best because, I mean, the one that I use is the best, but it's easy for us to say that and to forget how important it is to actually cater what we're doing to the person we're working with. And instead of thinking, well, I have a hammer, so everything's a nail, think, okay, I have a toolbox. What are we working with and how can I best support you? Do you prefer the style that says, okay, well, here's the details of what's going on. Let's use those details to begin understanding the bigger picture. Or here's the big picture. I feel like my attachment need X is not being met. What do we do with that? Where do we go from there? So if you've made it this far, thank you for listening to me talk about something that's not just dyslexia related, but also kind of is based on the way that so many dyslexic individuals think.